What if the darkest place you could imagine became your greatest teacher? What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they asked me if I think about my mom. And for those of you that don't know, after the riot in Pelican Bay in 2000, my mom killed herself. And part of that was because of guilt she felt. She felt responsible for me being in prison, in jail, and YA, juvenile halls, and all that. And no matter how many times I would explain to her that when she stopped changing my diapers, I was making my own decisions, it didn't take away the guilt she felt. So when the person asked me, do I think about my mom? I said, yeah. And they asked me, do you think of like when you were younger, and I had to cut that person off and said, I was in jail my whole life. I started going to jail, started going to juvenile hall at 13. Went to juvenile hall, in and out. Went to a group home. I went to camp, escaped, went back to camp, escaped. By 15, I was in the California Youth Authority. I did a little over 3 years in the California Youth Authority. Got out for 5 months. And then picked up a murder. I did over 24 years in the California Department of Corrections. I have lived a very violent, very destructive, very self-destructive life. And I can tell you that as brutal as jail and prison is, especially the California Department of Corrections, it did definitely become my greatest teacher. I entered the California Department of Corrections just like everyone else. I didn't do nothing wrong. I could justify everything that I had done throughout my life. That's what gangsters do. That's what gang members do. That's what criminals do. They can justify everything they've done. Just get close enough to them to where they'll talk to you about it, and then you'll hear. And when you're a criminal, when you're part of that world, you agree with them every time. You're right, Holmes. You're right. They were wrong. And as a criminal, or somebody in that lifestyle, you always have someone on the team, right? And whoever's on the team, whoever's your homie, whoever's in your circle, your faction, your crew, whatever you want to call it, they will always encourage further destruction. Destruction of self, destruction of family, destruction of community. Took me a long time to figure those things out. I can tell you that losing my mom was one of the key points in my life. And when I talk to people about when it happened, this was about 4 months after the riot in Pelican Bay. We're all sitting around in our cells. Every group pretty much sitting around with knives out, waiting for the door to pop. So hopefully you can get into it with a rifle on the tier. It doesn't matter that gunner is going to be shooting at you with whatever he feels like shooting. There's a job to do. It's a miserable time. And then to get the news that my mother had taken her own life. When I got that news, something inside of me changed. And I always tell people, I wish I could say that it changed me for the better. But I actually got worse. I actually focused even more on what I was already focused on. But a difference was I didn't enjoy it. Prior to that time, it was kind of fun. Playing chess with other men's lives was kind of fun. As sick as that sounds, I have to admit it. After losing my mom, I got even more involved. I focused harder. But when somebody got hit, I didn't take any pleasure out of it. It was just another waste. I can honestly say that, unlike a lot of people, I never pencil whipped anybody. Whoever I had hit, they had it coming. But I knew that in a lot of people's eyes, that's a good dude. And they were probably right. But I was doing the devil's work. You know, as a kid, running in the streets, I knew I was going to go to YA. I had to. I knew I was going to go to camp, juvenile hall. And when I was in prison, when I was in the California Youth Authority, I remember, I've told the story many times. I remember being on the yard. We're playing handball. And we stepped off to the side of the handball court and we're talking about this brand new prison that we had just heard about. This was in 1990. The brand new prison opened up in 1989. Pelican Bay State Prison. We didn't know any better. We heard the showers come to you. Your food is brought to you. There's a yard in the back of your cell that only you can go to. You couldn't you couldn't touch mail that they would put it on the screen. It was all lies. But we heard it. And we all agreed, I'll see you there. And as I always say when I tell this story, I didn't see none of those guys with me there. I was in Pelican Bay SHU 4 times. You know, I'm hearing all these guys talk about how I was a model inmate. I swear to God, I wish I was. I really do. I know all the things that I was involved in. I know all the things I was a part of. I know that I did all the right things. Right things. When violence occurred. When I had to direct violence. But I'm not proud of it. And so as I said, prison over time became my greatest teacher. I learned that the DA, the cops, the judge, the jury, they could never ever do whatever they did if I don't break the law. When I hear people say the justice system is wrong, I have to ask, is your thinking right though? If you can justify criminality, then you allow the justice system to do whatever it does. If you're willing to be able to walk a life on your own 2 feet, not have a gang, a faction, a barrio, a hood behind you, or for you to hide behind, but actually walk on your own 2 feet like a man, like you're supposed to. If you can do that, you'd be able to accomplish great things here. I think that being a productive member of society is one of my greatest achievements. Had I not gone to prison, had I beat my case, I would have only done more to hurt my family, my community, and other families. I remember being at a bar one time talking to somebody. The guy was on my left, and we're talking about, life. And I brought up the fact that I was down for about 24 years and 2 weeks. The guy sitting on my right wasn't even part of the conversation, but he was ear hustling. He looked at me and he said, "Damn, 24 years?" I said, "In 2 weeks." He said, Couldn't you get out any sooner?" I said, "Nope. I did the exact amount of days that I was supposed to do to learn the lessons that I needed to learn." And that's a fact I believe in wholeheartedly. I don't know who needs to hear this today, this story. But I promise you, if you're out there and you're criming it, if you're abusing substances, drinks, whatever it is, just understand that your decision puts you in your place. If we can start holding ourselves accountable and recognizing the choices that we're making, then hopefully we can avoid those darkest places. At the end of the day, the worst prison to ever be in is a prison in your mind. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.